Look, the weekend was a painful one for two clubs. We're going to start with Liverpool. Paddy, because you guys had the easier game. You were playing Crystal Palace at home, and you absolutely stunk the house out. The performance was poor. The finishing was absolutely horrendous. And now you find yourselves third in the league after having a 5-point lead at the top in January. What went wrong, and what is going wrong with your team?
I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. First of all, it is fair to say that nobody expected Liverpool to be challenging for the Premier League title this season. We weren't even predicted to get into the top 4. So the fact that Jurgen Klopp has had us challenging in and of itself is a win. I know it might sound tin pot, but in fairness, it is. And I just think we aren't as good as the league table has predicted at times. We've got out of jail a lot of times because of the better finishing, but I just think that's come back to bite us. It's found us out. We are the third best team in this league. Man City and Arsenal are both better, and we've our previous experiences maybe carried us a little bit closer than we should have, but ultimately we ran out of steam. Klopp's ran out of steam. The jig is up. We're done. We've had our time. Hopefully we can come again. But yeah, I just think we were doing well to kind of stay in there and just kind of maybe fool ourselves a little bit. I just think we've been found out in the end. I just think, we've been let down by individual performances. I think we're going to get on to it. I think Mohamed Salah, who's our best player, one of our best players ever, his powers have waned. We're just not the same team. And it's tough to take. The fact that we could have been top if we had just beaten Crystal Palace.
Paddy, when you say Salah's powers,
which
when you say Salah's powers, has he ever turned up at the end of a title race?
Yeah, he turned up in Madrid in 2019 when he scored a penalty.
How many? Okay, he scored a penalty. Granted, it was fantastic for you lot, but he's still in his Liverpool career. He doesn't have an in-play goal in a final, and when it comes to a title race, like he's world class. When it comes down to that last 10 games, he just falls off a cliff.
No, that's a crazy take.
Crazy. Is it though?
It's not.
Yes, we haven't technically won a title race in the club era because we had the one that we won was won easily, and then the other two we lost by a point. But if you look at the 2018-19 season, that unbelievable goal against Chelsea to keep us going, that's a crazy revisionism. Salah has now fallen off. His form isn't as good as it used to be. But to try and rewrite history and say he's never turned up is absolutely absurd. I'm sorry.
No, he's gone missing towards the end of the season usually, man. Even last year, I remember when he came back from the AFCON, he was poor, bro. Last season as well. I agree. Mane. I can remember Mane turning up more than Salah. Put it that way, because it's something that I always used to say to my boy.
This is a narrative that has been brought up both in the Liverpool fan base and outside. It's such a people are like, even now, for example, Firmino, for example. If only we had Firmino. Firmino missed umpteen sitters as well. Like, this is just revisionism. Salah now has fallen off a cliff. Last season as well wasn't at his best, but he has been there time and time again and delivered for us. That's to suggest otherwise is absolutely mad.
But the thing is, Paddy, you're not listening. You're not comprehending what we're saying, bro. We're not saying that Salah hasn't delivered for Liverpool. That's not what people are saying.
I know.
We're talking about in the crunch moments. Yeah, when it comes to the final few games, like Henry has just said, Salah tends not to rise. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's other people around him that have risen more than him.
I went and looked at this though, because I've seen a lot of people tweeting about it and talking about it today, and that's why I thought it'd be a really good talking point. I want to throw these numbers out to you all. So, can we all agree that the last 10 games of the season is the run-in, for argument's sake?
Yeah.
Cool. So far in the last 10 games this season, he has 2 goals. So you could say it's decent, not amazing, but 2 goals in 4 games so far. Last season, when people say he fell off, in the last 10 games, he had 13 GA. In the 21-22 season, he 2 assists in the Champions League semi-finals, 6 GA in the run-in. In the 19-20 season, where they won the league, in the last 10 games, it was 8 GA. In the 18-19 season, he obviously scored the penalty in the Champions League final, 4 GA in the knockout phase to get Liverpool to the final, and 6 GA in the title charge run-in. In the 2017-18 season, he scored 8 He had 8 GA in the knockout phases to get Liverpool to the Europa League final, and he scored 15 GA scored and created 15 GA in the run-in, which takes his numbers in the last 10 games of seasons or in the knockout stages of European competitions for Liverpool. It works out at 55 GA in that time period. So I don't think he has gone invisible.
Thank you.
In those moments,
by his
personally,
standards, though, like by his standards in terms of like,
stats don't paint the whole picture, though. We know what type of player that Salah is. You know, Salah can have a poor game, and still bag and assist. That's why he's been one of the greatest players that we've seen in the league, right? So as much as Terry can read all those numbers, I remember these performances. Yeah, I remember watching Liverpool and thinking to myself, yo, Salah's not really doing much today, but then he'll bag, like Terry's saying, and I'm like, come on, man, the overall performance ain't good enough. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you've said gone invisible, and those stats have just completely debunked that. Like 17-18 first season, he single-handedly, no, sorry, not 17-18, the one before, he single-handedly got us in, to top 4. And the Champions League, he carries to the final. The performance against Roma, performance against City away. It's just people have an agenda against Salah, and this is going to sound crazy, and I'm not accusing anyone here of it. There is a subconscious racism against Mohamed Salah. I am telling you now, if Mohamed Salah was white, the narratives would be different because he's a Muslim. And I'm not saying anyone here. There is 100% a subconscious agenda against Mohamed Salah. I'm telling you now, and he's one of the most disrespected players ever. It's absolutely absurd, man. I don't know what more he has to do. It's absolutely crazy.
The big issue is.
Sorry, go on, Rory.
Sorry, I was going to say the big issue is like Don will make a claim of he goes invisible. And then Terry will pull out stats that show that he doesn't go.
I never said he's gone invisible. I never said that. I said I didn't see him rise, bro. Is what I said. I didn't see him rise.
Okay, yeah, right? Okay. Then you do this thing where you go.
Like I said,
I didn't technically say that. That's your
I did say that. Yeah, because it goals and assists. Like I said, they don't paint the whole story, bro. A lot of Liverpool fans will tell you this season that Salah he's got some good GNA, but in terms of his overall performances, they haven't been to the level, bro.
Yeah, but that's
they
different.
Do paint the picture at the end of the season,
and that's always been my point with Salah, because obviously I've got a player that played for my club. That everyone loves to debate with. You know what I'm saying?
Don, but Paddy just said that this season we can all see that he's fallen off. So to say that Liverpool fans don't address that, he's literally said that. But whether you said the word invisible or doesn't rise or I don't notice him, they all amount to exactly the same thing. You're implying the same thing, that in the crunch end of the season and in the knockout stages of European competitions, which is the two most important elements, he doesn't deliver for Liverpool. I have personally seen amazing performances. Do I remember the individual games? I'm not a Liverpool fan, so it won't stand out to me like it does to Paddy. But I've seen him deliver in multiple seasons. It's the reason he just has. And even last year, people said I didn't do much at the end of the season. I was like, I swear, last year, where Liverpool's season had fallen apart and they end up almost getting themselves into the Champions League at the end, it was Mo Salah's goals, his creativity, his performances that dragged Liverpool's season away from being a complete embarrassment to almost having a little bit of credibility to it. The year before, a couple of years prior to that, when they should never have made the top 4, it was Mane, of course, delivered as well, but that's what all big teams do. It isn't just KDB that's delivered for City. It isn't just Haaland last year that delivered for City. It was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. Man United in 1999, multiple players were influential in us winning that treble, not just one guy that scored all the goals in the final. So I just think that the narrative towards Mo Salah is really disingenuous. The numbers and the facts, go back and watch the games, don't lie. To say that he does nothing, doesn't rise, is invisible, does nothing in the last 10 games of the season is just factually incorrect.
No, for me, like I've said, when I watch Salah, like I said, I can appreciate him because not every footballer's got all the natural ability in the world. Not every footballer is going to play the same or whatever. And Salah, in terms of the GNA, he's consistent. No one can take that away from him. But I've always said, in terms of his overall performance, for me, he doesn't get involved in the game enough. He doesn't take the game by the scruff of the neck enough for me. Like Terry has said, it will be disingenuous for me to say I've never seen it, because I have seen it. You know, look at that goal that he scored. Look at that goal that he scored against Man City when he ran past like 3 players, whatever it was. We've seen Salah do some magical things, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Can
I ask you a question? When you say grab the grain by the scruff of the neck, can you quantify that for us?
When I'm talking about grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, I'm talking about, for example, Alexis Sanchez. Yeah, that sort of performance where he's literally the game's going through him. He's the conductor. Yeah, he's getting on the ball. He's calling for the ball consistently. Like, like you've got an example that you've just given, like Mo Salah against Man City, yeah, where everything is going through him, and you can clearly see that away from the GNA, the performance itself, he's not just there waiting for the ball and depending on players to just create for him. You know, sometimes you need your key players to be able to step up and do that, because Salah's got the ability to do it. He might not be the best at doing it, but he's got the ability to do it. Not Paddy. Let me land my point. Terry asked me a question, so I'm telling you what I mean by scruff of the neck.
Mate.
That's my definition. How am I waffling? How am I waffling? That's
I'll tell you how you're waffling.
That's my definition of grabbing this game by the scruff of the neck, bro. You need to be involved in the game. You need to be involved in the game, bro.
A footballer's remit, or an attacker's remit, what is it? To fucking score, to assist. Because what you're saying is because he doesn't look good on the ball. What do you want from him?
I never even said that.
If Liverpool win a game 2-1 and Mohamed Salah scores the winner, but because he wasn't playmaking like a prime David Silva in the midfield and conducting things like a Hans Zimmer, like it doesn't get like appreciated. If he scores a winner in the game, who gives a flying fuck how it's happened?
I do. I care about performances, bro.
Why? You know why? Because you're a Chelsea fan, and you boys have this thing about Salah because you're precious fucking big ass Hazard, who went 2 different years without scoring a fucking goal. By the way, because he looks good on the ball, it fools people into thinking that this guy. Oh, look at that fancy little flick. Who gives a fuck how it's done as long as it's done? Salah didn't go a year without scoring twice, and you Chelsea fans have such this bee in your bonnet with Salah because he was at Chelsea and then Mourinho fumbled the bag and then he went on to be a great at Liverpool. And
can I just read you a few stats?
You have such an agenda against them, man.
Eden Hazard, 2016, 2017. Don't say I can't read any stats, Terry, because you know I always speak about stats.
GA is not everything.
You know I always speak about them secondary.
You know what I always love about eye test merchants?
Let me go through it.
I will let you do it. But what I love about eye test merchants is whenever they're in an argument, the first thing they pull out is stats.
Listen, let's go through it, innit? So Eden Hazard in a 2016-2017 title running, yeah? So February until the end of the season, yeah? So 15 games. You got 10 GA. Right, his average rating was 7.8. He had 8 man of the matches, right? 8, yeah, and he put up the GNA as well. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about performances, as well as the GNA. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's all it is, bro. I'm not saying Salah's dead. I appreciate Salah. I think Salah's a great, but like I've said, I've always said that about him in terms of his overall performances, and I'm not the only one that said this.
Can I ask you a question as well, Don? I want to understand your view on football. It's not to catch you out. I know a lot of people don't like these questions. You know that there are lots of great players that are considered world-class that didn't grab games by the scruff of the neck. For instance, Alan Shearer, the play didn't go through him. He was there to finish things off. As an example, there are players like Real Madrid fans love Raul, but Raul was not a playmaker. There are players like Inzaghi and Del Piero who are legends of the game that the play didn't go through them. Do you not think they should sit on the sort of elite level mantle just because they were the final piece of the jigsaw that put the ball into the back of the net?
No. Obviously not, man. Terry, we're talking about like great footballers here, right? But when it comes to speaking about great footballers, you're going to compare them to other great footballers. So when it comes to like, would you prefer this guy to this guy? Like, for example, do you prefer Hazard to Salah? I've given you the reasons why I prefer Hazard to Salah, right? Because for me, even away from the GNA, he could still be the best player on the pitch, right? So for me, performances are very important, very, very important. Okay, I expect consistent performances and the GNA when it comes.
I understand that, but the debate isn't today Hazard versus Mo Salah. The debate is, and what we started talking about is, does Mo Salah turn up at the end of the season? That has nothing to do with Eden Hazard and his performances, because he isn't the same type of player as you know. He is more of a goal scorer. So Didier Drogba, he wasn't the playmaker for Chelsea, but those clutch goals mean everything to you as fans. I've never once seen you say on a show, Do you know what? I didn't really rate Drogba because he wasn't influencing the game for 90 minutes. He just popped up with the goals. That was his job in that Chelsea system.
Nah, that's a poor example because Drogba used to get involved in the game, bro. It wasn't like a Haaland.
Drogba did a bit of hold-up play, but he wasn't doing what Wayne Rooney's and the like were doing, dropping deeper. He was never that kind of player. Very good hold-up play, but his main job was to score goals, and he wasn't the most prolific. But what he was amazing at was popping up with the right goals at the right times. And that is why Didier Drogba is loved by your fan base. I don't see Chelsea fans say, do you know what, though? Because he wasn't that all-round, complete centre forward, I don't rate him. Mo Salah isn't in this Liverpool team. He isn't the complete player, potentially. But that doesn't mean he's invisible. He's doing what he has been purchased to do. He is delivering. Listen, if you think Hazard's better, that's fair. But that doesn't take away from what Mo Salah, and I just went and looked at the stats on SofaScore here. In their title winning season, the last 15 games, he averaged 7.8. Got, as we said, in the last 15 games, I think he got 12 goals, and he got 7 man of the matches as well, Mo Salah, according to SofaScore. So I don't know. I'm just saying.
You see, this is the thing, though, Terry. What did I say to Igal? I've the same way I say with Saka. I've seen examples of Saka take the game by the scruff of the neck. I've seen Salah do it, but the key word here is I don't see it consistently. Over the years, I haven't seen it consistently game after game. I know his role is different. I understand his role. I've bigged up his GNA. I've called him a great Paddy. I don't know what more you want me to say about Salah.
Let me just say one more.
I'm bigging him up. All I'm saying is the overall performances consistently. I haven't
that
seen
is,
it.
That is the single most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. You have just said Mohamed Salah hasn't been consistent. He has been.
No. I said the overall performances, bro. The GNA is consistent.
What are you talking about?
The GNA is consistent.
What is it? What is it? A winger / right forwards. What's
Terry, we'll go around in circles because he's not understanding.
No.
We're not going in circles, Don.
We are because I've explained it already, bro. I've spoken about away from the GNA.
You're just a Hazard sexual.
I'm not waffling, bro. I'm telling you that
Hazard is a year older than Salah.
The irony of this is I didn't even use Hazard. I use Sanchez as an example.
Let me just jump in for a minute. There's something I don't understand about what you're saying, though, Don, because you said he's a great, but overall these performances aren't that good or consistent. How can you rate someone as a footballing great but say they're not consistent? I don't understand. But that's what doesn't make sense to me.
You can always criticize a player, bro. It don't matter how great they are. You can always have constructive criticism for a player.
I don't believe.
I can't take away. I'm saying that Salah's a great because the numbers, bro. The numbers he's put up is ridiculous, bro. I can't take that away from him. Yeah, the performances I've seen from Salah in certain big games against big opposition, he's scored against all of our teams all of the time, bro. I can't take away his legacy from it, right? But all I'm saying is constructive criticism, bro. That's all it is. That's all it is.
I understand that, and I get where you're coming from. But as I say, the reason why I can't accept your logic as read is it takes away from players whose job isn't to be playmakers in a team, and they've existed for 130 years, and they'll continue to exist in football where their primary job isn't playmaking. And by your definition, if you're not the guy that's conducting, you're not a consistent performer. I just don't necessarily think that's true in football. Now, as your preference and what you prefer to watch, it's there, but that isn't everybody's role. That isn't everybody's job within a team. But it doesn't mean that they're not, that they don't deliver for me. But I hear where you're coming from. We've got some super chats on it I want to go through here.